As a kid, all a nigga wanna have was a Burberry scarf and $3 in my pocket. Instead I got beat with a switch, but I don't give a fuck, but it's on my body. Scars all up on me, but I run around from everybody. Life lesson learned, I better learn from this bitch, nobody. She pushed me around, she didn't give no motherfucks about it. She broke my heart 3 times, but I ain't getting...
Last week, Florida defeated Georgia for the first time in 3 years, 44-28. Now, prior to Florida's win last week against Georgia, Georgia had won the previous 3 matchups. They defeated Florida in 2017, 2018, and 2019. And even though Georgia was consistently beating Florida, and Florida during those 3 years couldn't find a way to beat Georgia, Florida was still a really good football team. As a matter of fact, in 2018 and 2019, they ended up having 10-win seasons going to New Year's Six bowl games. And you may be like, JT, what does the Florida-Georgia game have anything to do with the Buccaneers taking on the Carolina Panthers? Why I bring up the Florida-Georgia game is because to show you guys that just because a team has your number and you lose to a team twice in the season, or maybe you've gone a couple of years without beating a team, doesn't mean you're a bad team. It just means that the opposing team just has your number. Just because the Buccaneers lost to the Saints twice this season, and they got dominated by the Saints last week, doesn't mean the Buccaneers are a bad football team. It just means that the New Orleans Saints have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers number. Okay, you can be a good team and still have that one team that you struggle to beat. Remind you that this is the same Buccaneers team that a couple of weeks ago dismantled the Green Bay Packers. So just because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have lost to the New Orleans Saints twice this year, and they got dominated by the Saints last week on Sunday Night Football 38-3, doesn't mean that this is a bad football team. As a matter of fact, the Buccaneers are still one of the best teams in the NFC, especially from a talent standpoint. They just can't figure out a way to beat the New Orleans Saints. So they're walking into this game looking to bounce back. And you have a Carolina Panthers team that is currently 3-6 right now. And they had an incredible game against Kansas City last week. A game that they almost came just really, really close to winning. They lost that game 33-31. And under Matt Rule, the Carolina Panthers have showed a lot of promise. As a matter of fact, the Carolina Panthers this season have been a lot better than what a lot of people expected them to be. You see, this year, I thought this was going to be a rebuilding year. I thought the Carolina Panthers were going to go 3-13 or 4-12, but they have exceeded my expectations. It looks like the Carolina Panthers may end up ending this season 6-10 or 7-9, which is really good when you think about the expectations that a lot of people have for Carolina going in this season in their first year under head coach Matt Rule. So the last time the Buccaneers faced the Carolina Panthers, the Buccaneers won 31-17. And Teddy Bridgewater didn't perform well in that first matchup. He was 33 of 42 for 367 passing yards. So you may say, okay, JT, he was pretty solid. Well, he turned the ball over twice that game. And Carolina overall had 4 turnovers in that first matchup against Tampa Bay. Now, last week against Kansas City, Teddy Bridgewater played, in my opinion, which was his best game as a Carolina Panther. He threw for 310 yards, 2 touchdowns, and was 36 of 49 passing against a really good Kansas City Chiefs defense. So I want to see how is Teddy Bridgewater going to perform in his second matchup against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the wide receiving core for the Carolina Panthers torched this Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary. DJ Moore had 8 receptions for 120 receiving yards. Robbie Anderson had 9 receptions for 109 yards. So that Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary in that first matchup got carved up by this Carolina Panthers receiver core. So for DJ Moore, he's trying to get back on the right track. He kind of has been a little bit ghost over the last couple of weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can get things back rolling in this offense in this game against Tampa Bay, which he had one of his best performances of the year against the Buccaneers in their first matchup. Now, you also have wide receiver Curtis Samuel, who has really turned it on over the last couple of weeks. I would know because I have Curtis Samuel on my fantasy football team. He has been really good over the last 2-3 weeks for the Carolina Panthers. So for the Buccaneers, your secondary is going to have a lot of weapons that you have to worry about in the passing game for Carolina. You got DJ Moore, you got Robbie Anderson, and you have Curtis Samuel, who has turned it on over the last couple of weeks. Now, for Carolina, you're going to be without your best player on offense, Christian McCaffrey. Now, Christian McCaffrey came back last week against Kansas City, but now he's going to be out for this game. Now, the Buccaneers have one of the best run defenses in the NFL. They are number one in rushing yards per game allowed, only allowing 77.9 yards per game. But over the last 3 games, they have allowed over 100 rushing yards. Like I believe it's like either 103 or 109 rushing yards they have allowed over the last 3 games. But even then, they have still had a top 10 run defense in the NFL for pretty much the whole entire season. And you're looking at the Carolina Panthers, who, without Christian McCaffrey, they still shouldn't miss all that much of a beat when it comes to running the football with Mike Davis, because Mike Davis has been really good in the absence of Christian McCaffrey. But I'm not expecting Carolina to come out here and just have a lot of success running the football against Tampa Bay, because not really a lot of teams have had a lot of success running the ball on Tampa Bay the whole entire season. But when you look at Carolina and you go back to that first matchup against Tampa Bay, that is a game that they had a really good chance of winning. Although the score was decided 31-17, Carolina beat themselves that game. They had 4 turnovers. And anytime you turn the ball over 4 times and the team doesn't have any turnovers at all, you're going to end up losing 90% of the time. So if Carolina can come to this game and take care of the football and not turn the football over, they have a really good chance of winning. And the Panthers also gave up 5 sacks in their last matchup against Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay has one of the better defensive lines in the NFL. So can Carolina take care of the football? And can Carolina protect Teddy Bridgewater? Now, remind you that this is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team led by quarterback Tom Brady, who is looking to rebound after a terrible loss to the New Orleans Saints. And me saying that was a terrible loss is just me being nice. It's a lot of explicit words that I would like to use to express the way that the Buccaneers slaughtered the Buccaneers. Well, the Buccaneers got slaughtered by Tampa. The Buccaneers got slaughtered by the New Orleans Saints. But I can't really use those explicit words because I don't want this video to get demonetized. But just know that the New Orleans Saints, they left the Tampa Bay Buccaneers bloodstains all over Raymond James Stadium last week. They came, they saw, and trust me, they conquered. So Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are most definitely coming into this game angry with something to prove, because a lot of people are counting them out now. It's funny how quick people flip sides. Just a couple of weeks ago, people were saying that the Buccaneers are the best team in the NFC. Now they lose to the Saints and one bad loss, and now everybody's writing them off, saying that they're overrated, saying that this team isn't a Super Bowl contender. Like, wow, just one bad loss and the team's no longer a Super Bowl contender? That's crazy. So for the Buccaneers, they're coming into this game for a lot to prove. And they are a 5.5 point favorite heading into this game. And for Carolina, this is a team that is still fighting for their playoff lives. At 3-6, the Carolina Panthers haven't officially been eliminated from the playoff race. If they win this game, they'll be right back into the fold, even though they have a lot of catching up to do. And if we're being honest about the situation, if Carolina wants to make it to the playoffs, they have to win the rest of their games. They cannot afford to lose one game. So for Carolina, this game is pretty much it. If they lose this game, this is pretty much it for their playoff hopes for this season, if Carolina Panthers fans had any. So this is a must-win game for the Carolina Panthers in terms of their playoff aspirations and their playoff hopes. And for Tampa Bay, this is a game that you would like to have because you don't want to end up going on a 2-game losing streak. So I think for Tampa Bay, okay, you got Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, hopefully Chris Godwin, depending on his injury status, because you never know with Chris Godwin. He's been pretty much banged up the whole entire season. But if all those guys are fully healthy, and you got Tampa Bay, who has been really good on defense, aside from that debacle last week against New Orleans, which New Orleans basically beheaded them and left their bloodstains all over the wall on Raymond James Stadium, the Buccaneers have had a top 10 defense this year. And this is a Buccaneers team that is way better than what they were when they first initially took on the Carolina Panthers. When they first took on the Carolina Panthers, this was a Buccaneers team that was still trying to get their chemistry down packed and still trying to find their identity offensively. Now this is a way better Buccaneers team than what it was initially when they first took on the Panthers. So I'm going to have to take the Buccaneers to get the victory here. I think the Buccaneers win this game 27-20 is my final score prediction in this game. I think this game is going to be really close. And I don't think this game is going to be close because I don't think that the Buccaneers are good. I'm not saying that. I think this game is going to be close because I think that the Carolina Panthers, like the Buccaneers, have also gotten better as we have progressed throughout the NFL season, which is why I think this game is going to be closer than what it was initially. Now, I know a lot of Buccaneers fans may come on here and they may say, oh, JT, we're going to blow out the Carolina Panthers. They're nobodies. We're going to blow them out. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. The Buccaneers are a better team than what they were when you first took them on. And the Carolina Panthers are a better team than what they were when they first faced the Buccaneers. Therefore, I think this game is going to be a lot closer than what a lot of people expect it to be. Now, I do think that the Buccaneers end up covering that 5.5, okay? Because at the end of the day, they still are the better overall team than Carolina. But I don't think that the Carolina Panthers are just going to get destroyed by more than 2 touchdowns in this game because Carolina has improved a good amount throughout the NFL season, which is why I think this game will be close. So I'm going to take the Buccaneers to win this one. 27-20 is my final score. Give me the Buccaneers.